So, Zach, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Um, just right off the bat, can you simply explain um, like what got you into the AI space and a little bit of your journey and what you're doing right now?
Yeah, for sure. So my kind of journey, online marketing. I
Okay.
had gyms. I had a chain of gyms. I had 7 locations, and my kind of role was getting clients through the door.
Yeah.
And back in the day, before GHL and before all the systems, we had probably 10 or so softwares you had to plug all together with Zapier.
Mm-hmm.
So you had back in the day, you had these landing pages on, the lead pages, and then you hook it to Zapier, and then there was a calendar. It was just a nightmare. But it worked,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how we scaled so fastly. Facebook ads to a call to a conversation.
That's amazing.
And then, so basically I saw that company in 2020, and then that's kind of when I came across GHL and all the automations. And I had a company called Automation King, which
Mhm.
was just kind of consulting and software that we built
Mhm.
for service businesses, because that's what we knew.
Mhm.
And then obviously November 2022, ChatGPT came out. My first reaction was shit. My skills are no longer useful. And then after 10 minutes, I was like, oh, this is still dog shit. It's still got so
Mhm.
much time. Copywriting, like we're just talking about, you ask it to copyright, and if you don't have the skill, you can't get it to do anything useful.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I see. And then basically, I always had a aversion to creating an agency, because I was like, oh, I just know how much work's involved. Like
Mhm.
when I was running the gyms, run a funnel, but a funnel's got 300-400 steps.
Mhm.
And all the emails, all the things. Whereas now with ChatGPT, you can spit out, the 15 emails for appointment notifications, reminders, and you can actually spit those out in a minute.
Mhm.
And then so basically I was just doing a lot of different consulting kind of projects and jobs with people. And then I was like, oh, damn, I can really see how this solves the problem that we had. So it was we generated 25,000 leads in our gym over 6 years, which is about 11, it's either 7 or 11 leads per day, every day, for 6 years. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
a
yeah,
fuckload of
yeah,
leads.
yeah, yeah.
But always our biggest problem was you get these leads from Facebook, even through a landing page and whatever, and then you'd call them 5 to 10 minutes later. No, I didn't put my details in. That kind of taught me how much of it's kind of like psychosis people are in when they're on social media scrolling their phone. They literally put their name, email, number, and even picked a location, and they're like, how did you get my number? I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. So then basically it was kind of October 2023, so 13 months ago. I've kind of figured out hooking up a speed to lead bot from, they opt into whatever, Facebook lead ad or a form, and then you can just get it texting straight away through GHL. And then actually you could train it to kind of conversate and push through, the qualifying questions. So I kind of view AI right now in kind of the digital marketing agencies. It's okay, where can we reduce the lower level labor jobs? Because again, when you graduate high school, no one sits and tells the career counselor, yeah, I want to qualify appointments for a boss.
Sure.
No one, not to sound ungrateful, but I'm that's not anyone's life purpose.
I mean, it's not fulfilling. Let's say how it is. It's not fulfilling. You're doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's, I don't think, you can derive purpose from that and stuff.
Yeah. But I worked in a call center before. When I was a student, I was picking up the phone and calling people back in France. But I mean, nobody really wants to do that.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I like to be able to frame things up with, how can you make that, if you work for, call it you work for Tony Robbins, and you help people change lives, and you can do that by being in a call center. Yeah, sure, it's maybe a really inspiring job.
Yeah.
But again,
That's different.
Yeah,
That's really different. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So I try to look at how can I make the examples and catch myself out, right? So the call center, and then I view AI as okay, how can it solve the problems and kind of ultimately free humanity from doing shit they don't want to do. Time's the only scarce thing that we have. So try not to waste it doing dumb shit. And then, that's kind of been the last kind of 14 months. It's like, obviously, like I see it in like the speed to lead, and there's so much research about it. Like the faster that you can get to a lead, just the higher likelihood or probability that you're going to make a sale.
Yes.
So, you know, if any business is running ads, it is probably the most profitable thing they can do. Besides going to a new country and paying no tax. Getting your like speed to leads, like if you're running ads, it will increase your throughput. If you can just get onto like, you know, 10 or 20% more leads, you could probably double your sales, all things being equal. Because, you know, generally speaking, it's like 100 leads, 20 book appointments, and you might close at the end 10.
Yeah.
But if you can get 40 appointments booked because you message them straight away, well, then you've just doubled the business on the same numbers. So that's kind of how I see AI. That's kind of been my journey, is just consulting in like, you know, compressing time for businesses. So like I look at, there's two things that I really do. I compress time. So, you know, if you come and work with me, I will get you the result faster. And it's only kind of been something I've thought about recently is, you know, when I had the gyms, I just compress time for people. So I believe that people can go out and, you know, you'll figure over a long enough timeline, and if you don't quit, you'll figure anything out, right? You know, you'll figure out how to get in shape. You'll figure out how to run a business. Like, just don't quit and you'll figure it out. But if you want to do it faster, that's what I can help you with. Same with like, the body. It's like, you know, some people might take 10, 20, 30 years to figure out what works for them. I, you know, understood calories, fucking nutrients, micronutrients, macronutrients, trainings, tension, all the shit that's involved in getting in shape, you know, growing muscle. So you can come work with me for 12 weeks and I'll probably get your years of results in 12 weeks instead of 12 months. So all I'm doing is compressing time. And then the second thing, I'm like, this kind of came from, I was chatting to a guy who, my mate's dad, he was in Silicon Valley Bank, been in like Silicon Valley for 30 years, done 2,000 deals. He's like, basically up to 100 million, it's just improving the sales process.
Wow.
Like just up to 100 million. You just got to improve your sales process. That's it. And I was like, God fucking damn. That's exactly what I do. So it's like everything else doesn't matter. Because he's like, I, you know, speak to countless companies trying to raise money every single day. 1 out of 100, 1 out of 1,000 can tell me how my 2 to 500 grand or whatever he said, the investment into their tech business is going to increase revenue, which is a side effect of improving the sales process. And I was like, damn, that's what I do with AI. I improve your sales process with AI. So it's so simple. That's what, again, so I'm speaking what I love about being in Bali and having time with my own thoughts and not really knowing many people here. I was like, okay, what is it that I actually want to do? What is it that I'm actually doing with, you know, AI? And they're the kind of things.
Super interesting, like the way you look at the role of that AI plays in the sales process, and a lot of people don't see the value that AI brings to their business that way. They're like, okay, that's cool. They compare it to a human sales rep. They're like, yeah, but for example, for voice agents, they'd be like, yeah, you know, the conversation is not as natural as a human. So the way I present it myself, I just say it's not meant to replace a human. It's just another communication channel that's way more efficient than sending just an email, right? And but yeah, how do you deal with skeptics?
Yeah, it's not my job to change them. That's how I deal with skeptics. I believe that, you know, my business model is predicated on like at the moment 10 to 15 clients, like in the like that my agency, and we'll do kind of 1.5 to 2 million bucks a year just from that. We take a percentage of the upside. We charge 10 to 15k a month, and it's you only need like that many people. And I think society as a whole has like distorted view of numbers, because we look at LeBron, we look at Kim Kardashian, like we look at these people online, and they have like millions of followers. But up until 30 or 40 years ago, we were only exposed to like hundreds, maybe thousands of people our entire life. Whereas now, like an Instagram model posts on Instagram, she'll have 100,000 people like it. So it's kind of a broader conversation, but society has like just a general distortion of what numbers are. And like, you know, you're looking up like in our space, it's like, you know, you're looking up to these like agency guys and people that have like done all these things. It is such a limited, like it's just law of large numbers. It just doesn't happen. And then, you know, instead of trying to convincing everyone, mine's trying to more like repel everyone and then see who's left. So just looking at the marketing, the market, the like dynamics of, you know, natural equations, the dynamics of everything, you know, it's the early adopters curve, right? You know, the classic example in tech is the people that stand outside waiting for an iPhone before the release. It's ludicrous, but they want to be that. And I just work with those kinds of clients. They want to be first, and they can see the value. Because, again, a man convinced against his own will was not convinced. He was forced.
Yes, yes. I definitely see that also. Like when I'm on calls, there's definitely two types of people that I deal with. There's the believers. They're like, yeah, AI is the future. I see the value. I want to be using it. And there's the guys like, I don't know. And yeah, I totally see your point. Like just go with the early adopters. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's better clients anyway.
Well, and that's like the buy-in from the clients that you work with, and making sure they're like actually bought in is one of the biggest determinants of success. Like if the clients don't believe, they will like jeopardize your implementation, and it's never going to be successful. So yeah, I kind of take it as, you know, if you kind of lead with AI and automation and like, you know, language models and machine learning, and that's kind of the talk. But yeah, you know, you only need like whatever the numbers are of your business. It's like, you know, 10, 20, like 30 clients. And I have like, you know, when I was running one-on-one PT, I did 65 sessions a week. And like I had probably, like at its peak, I had about 55, 60 clients that I was training one-on-one. So I'm like, oh,
Whoa.
yeah. So like I was like ripping some big weeks, like 50 hours on the floor with everything. Well, not 50 hours on the floor, 50 hours easily in a gym per week, just chatting with people. And I'm like, you know, your local gym, if everyone became a client, you're a millionaire. But people are trying to make these fucking 37-step marketing funnels and doing everything but talking to people and making offers. Like, talk to the person, make them an offer to work with you. If they say no, it was going to be no anyway. Like, and that's one of the things that I drill with the guys inside of AIGC is that you just need to make offers to people every day. And there will be people that say no. Just like dating. You know.
Making offers every day.
Yeah, making offers every day if you're single. Yeah, so yeah, dealing with the skeptics. I mean, you can have skeptics in everything.
Yeah.
There's so many things.
At the end of the day, I see your point is a numbers game.
Yeah,
and, you know, like the more offers you make, the more deals you're gonna close, and that's it. You know.
And then the more feedback you'll get from the market as well. And it's quite interesting depending on like the niches and stuff like that. It's like, okay, that's great. But then it's like, okay, understanding the person's problem that you're trying to solve for them and how AI, automation, like whatever comes in. But like sometimes it's, you know, it doesn't even need to be AI. And it's like people are trying to and even I've caught myself.
Yes.
I've caught myself doing this. I spoke to a guy who has like a big mining recruitment company. And he's like, I was like, oh, you know, I've figured out like this AI dialer and blah, blah, blah. And he just wasn't interested. And he's like, oh, but what I would do is like, I'd love some more leads. Yeah. And I was like, no fucking shit, Jack. Shut the fuck up and ask them what they want.
Yes.
So that's what I find a lot of people in the AI agency space, they're trying to like push this onto people. Yeah. But fundamentally, like everyone that you speak to is asking themselves the question of what's in it for me. And if I don't want this, then there's nothing in it for me. So that's why I don't want it. So, you know, the best stance or frame to approach like the sales is curiosity. Like, what do you actually want from this, or how can I help you? Again, like we're saying, improve the sales process. But some people might need more leads. That's fine. Yeah. And it's not really your job to tell them what they need.
Exactly. And I just realized that there's some people that I hop on a sales call with. They just need basic automation. They don't really need AI. No. It's a shiny object. That's why they book the call first, because it's like, oh, AI, blah, blah, blah. But actually, the systems they need to get to the results they're looking for is not necessarily AI. So yeah, that's super interesting. And at first I was like, just not listening, just trying to, get them to buy my thing. But actually, just listening and
Yeah.
giving them what they want.
Well, and that's the thing is, it's like businesses have phases. And I kind of believe that most advice is shit advice unless they have your context. So anything that we're saying today could be just terrible advice. And if there's a billionaire watching this, they'll be like, oh, you're all wrong. So, when you're looking at like the phases of a business, and I do, again, AI has kind of changed that because, you have employee levels or revenue levels and stuff like that. And like, what is the end goal? Are you trying to capture market shares? Are you just trying to, there's so many different variables inside of a business.
Mm-hmm.
The way that McDonald's has a strategy is probably going to be different to the local burger shop down the road.
Yes.
So like the strategy is applicable to the context of the business.
Yes, totally makes sense. And I was gonna ask you that, because I see different ways of selling AI agents or building a company with a product that's AI agents, and different models. For example, like if you're selling a high ticket service and you only need a few clients, and you can share revenue and like do all these so my English like consulting and agency work. And also I see, like, doing my research, I see some companies that are more SaaS oriented, and they are like selling a productized service or maybe just a SaaS with AI agents and selling it at a lower price for a subscription, and in that model they actually want to scale and have as many clients as they can and get as much market share as they can. And I see like some companies raising funds and going that route. And so my question is, because what I see in the AI space is, for example, Go High Level, they just released their AI employee and they're releasing voice agents. So do you see it becoming a commodity pretty soon? And how, well, I actually see the value of like providing a service if it becomes like a commodity. For example, anybody can hop on Facebook and run ads, but they don't necessarily know how to do it. That's why they work with media buyers. And basically my question is, I was wondering, because we had like a few clients in solar, in real estate, in healthcare, and now we started running ads for dental practices, right? And I think you made a video saying people should not target dentists, but I didn't watch everything. But it's a market where people really see the value, and it's easy to build what they want, right? It's just inbound calls, it's just simple booking appointments, blah blah blah. But the price point is way lower, right? So going that route means scaling, like having, I don't know, 100 dental practices that pay a few $100 a month. And it's just a different model. But I like to know like your view on all these different ways of building a business in AI.
Yeah, for sure. So there's like, we've got to look at what is like the overarching philosophy of the business, and like what is the like starting points, and more importantly, what are the constraints. So the like SaaS model is kind of predicated on either like lifetime value, customer acquisition, or like funding. So that's the kind of differentiating factors. Like, are you going to bootstrap, and then, or like, do you have funding and like a team of success? And like when I look at SaaS as a whole and AI as a whole, it's a very risky play investing a lot of money, because I believe the software development, you'll be able to create a SaaS in ChatGPT in 12 to 18 months. Mm-hmm. So my kind of belief is the only guarantee is a personal brand. And that's kind of why I'm going all in on content. Everything else, and even personal brands, well, you have these like AI robot girlfriends and shit like that. Yeah. So I'm really investing in like my personal brand and, being a leader. and that's a side conversation. But yeah, when you look at SaaS benefits from scale, and there's big companies in the world, your Salesforces, your HubSpots, those kind of things. So when you look at like building the company, most people watching this, you need to have some level of higher ticket to hire good staff, to hire good developers, to actually give you breathing room. Because the problem is that, your $1,500 a month retainers, $1,000 a month retainers, unless the deliverables are very certain and they're very clear, you just get this scope creep and you end up doing everything, and now you just can't scale because of time and the constraints around it. So like when you look at the SaaS or the high ticket, whatever, like there's no right answer and there's no wrong answer. It's like what is useful to your situation. Most people aren't funded, and where we funded? No, we had partners buy in to basically buy in our gyms. They bought in between $30,000 and $60,000, and that basically just paid for the equipment of the new location, and they run it. So that's how we were able to scale we opened 6 gyms in 2 years. And we retained at least 80% of all the equity between my business partner and I. So when we coming back to it, it's like you can have funding and go the scale route, and that's great model. But a lot of customer support, and it's just like working it out. And the thing is, if you're going to go the low ticket, it does compound eventually. I've met the guy who's GHL's top affiliate, Rob Bailey, and great guy. We've been having epic chats, and because he's the top affiliate, he basically rolled out the affiliate program. I don't know how many thousand affiliates that he has. But it compounds, because every month it's just growing, and the asymmetrical returns of content. So coming back to it, so the scale, there's that bucket, and it's just volume, and then it just becomes a numbers game. Can you acquire customers, and how long do they last? And then is there an exit strategy, and someone else is going to grow it, and that's where it comes to the phases of business, right? And what phase is it in? Whereas for most people, high ticket allows them to hire people, buy back their time, and just actually invest in the business. So that's how I see it. And again, the problem with SaaS, if you're under-resourced, you just get no stickiness anyway, unless your development of all your SOPs, your onboarding, everything is done amazingly. You have these $200, $300 a month, recurring subscriptions, but then the customers aren't supported, and they just swim upstream and pay for someone more to do it. With my model, our GHL is between $500 and $1,000 a month, but they're in a Discord with me and my VAs, and they can just get their questions asked instantly. And proper business owners, not proper, I shouldn't say that, traditional business owners that run, traditional, either brick and mortar, or they do, different levels of consulting, safety consult, not in the online world. Even your dentists and stuff like that, they'll pay money to have access. And that's where I see the high ticket, service is very valuable, because then you can actually go out and help them. Whereas if you're constantly chasing new clients, because the economics don't work, because it's $300 a month or $400 a month, and really, if you're doing more than 2-3 hours of work for that client, you're working $100 an hour, and it's just
that totally doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
The way I see it, it just makes sense if you have a highly standardized product that is proven, but building that takes time
and money.
And
That's the 12 to 18 months of high ticket, and then again, ultimately the aim of the game is scale, if that's what your goal is. So I completely agree. Whereas people run out of cash or time, or just oomph. You keep going, and you're we signed 10 clients this month, we lost 3, and all that work, and we added $2,000 a month of recurring. It just doesn't work. So I think there's a sweet spot of a hybrid high ticket.
That's exactly the thought that crossed my mind.
Yeah, it's a sweet spot of a hybrid high ticket, and that's kind of what I do. Is we'll go build it all, do it all. And I have a couple of clients that pay $10K a month, and we just have a personal Discord, and I have his staff in there, and any question on SaaS or my Zuva, which is my GHL white label, or his ads or anything, I just answer. And he's like, you know, that's what he pays for, because it's, again, that compression of time. He could go out and research and do all that, but, you know, his domains aren't working, or like emails aren't getting opened, or something's not working. Okay, cool, I'll figure it out. And that's what he pays for. And, you know, it's a very good value exchange. He gets his questions answered, and I get paid.
Yeah. And there's definitely, in the healthcare industry, people that are willing to pay high ticket. You know?
Yeah. And I think on that, it's like a lot of people struggle to understand like they just don't actually know the industries, and they sell from their pocket instead of their buyer's pocket. So, you know, and then, you know, like one of the videos I said, like, oh, you're told, you know, go off to dentist and pay like the $1,500. Like, that's what everyone else is doing. And then they're wondering, like, oh, why they get questions of, are you the same as everyone else? Well, it's the same offer to the same niche. It's just been done to death. They've been, you get 100, 200 cold emails a month for the same offer. So yeah, it's, I like to play games I can win, and picking the problem you solve is the most important thing in business. Like, that's where all value is derived, is solving a problem. And people, like, you know, how do we solve that problem for this business and makes their life better? And again, I have the fundamental belief is, like, you know, every interaction should, like, you know, the two people, we want to leave in a better place than when we started, right? Like, after this podcast, we've have a better connection than before. Awesome. That's how it should be. So I take that into my business interactions as well, is, okay, how do I leave this business, this client, this person, ultimately, in a better place than before we connected? Comes from them investing in my services and me investing my time, effort, energy, resources into their business. It's, again, mutual exchange.
Yeah. So, what's the biggest challenge you faced running an AI agency?
Yeah, I think there's kind of focus. There's just so many different options, and I've lost days going down like a rabbit hole with Appy or with this software and just going down these rabbit holes, and kind of veering too far away of like what's my actual plan, and that's probably the biggest thing is, you know.
It's the same for me. Same thing. Like, but for me, it's kind of like knowing. Like, I spend a lot of time thinking, and maybe too much, about what's the next steps.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different avenues, so many different ways to grow the business, and you get some data from clients and feedback, and you're like, oh, maybe we should do this, maybe we should do this, and then you look at what other people are doing, and it's it gets kind of overwhelming sometimes to come back and be like, okay, this is what we do, this is what we chose to do, and block out everything.
It's like focus is a superpower. And I was living with one of my best mates for 6 years, and then in June I moved into like an apartment, and I have a desk, a chair, and a whiteboard. No TV, no couch. And some people, they're like, oh my God, that's the best thing ever. And some other people like, you're insane. And I'm okay with both. But again, I think a lot of people fill their lives with a lot of shit that's just constantly vying for their attention. And so they inherently have set themselves up without the ability to focus, because there's just so much shit going on. So many commitments, so many things they don't actually want to do. That's what I've loved about being in Bali. My phone's been on Do Not Disturb since I got here. It's been amazing. I've had 2 phone calls with my mum, and that's about it. It's been so peaceful. I have obviously texted my friends and on Instagram or whatever, but the being able to just focus and get clarity. So yeah, I'd say that's the biggest challenge, because for me, like, technically, I've done it before, and I know I can do it. Like, you know, we generated 25,000 leads. We had, I think, 800 or 900 active clients in our gyms. Like, we're doing 200, 250, 300K a month, depending on the month. And that, like, so in my mind, it's done. But now I'm doing it with the constraints of, okay, I don't want to work. I used to work 70, 80 hours a week. I was young, hungry. So I've got the skills now. So I think there's that period you need to do that, and now you get the skills. Like, I can run traffic, I can build AI, like anything. I have that belief in myself that I can do. And it's not hard. You're just stupid is some really good advice I got. So that's kind of the frame I look at this. So well, what's the hardest thing? It's just literally focus and sitting down. And for me, I need to to do get into the weeds. I need to block off 3 or 4 hours. But then and I find I put this in there, catch up with my friends and all this shit. So I can't actually focus on the in-depth building. And that's kind of, I'm going up into the mountains in Bali tomorrow till
That's
next
good.
Friday just to focus. I'll probably get 3 months work done in 5 days. Because
I was gonna ask you if you did that already. In Bali, there's some places where you can go, where you can really lock in, and in 1 week, there's no interaction with no humans. You just you and your mind and your work. So
yeah. That's literally my plan for next week. 'Cause I was gonna fly back today actually, but I extended to next Friday, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go do that. So yeah, coming back to the question, it's the ability to focus on the problem at hand for long periods of time. I'd say that's the challenge, because again, there's just so many distractions, so many people with show, this is the way to do it and this is the way to do it, and
exactly.
And
figuring out what's your how to say, because I think sometimes it's also a matter of personality. Some people are more sales and marketing oriented, some people are more product oriented, some people are more have an engineer mind, and some people are more great salespeople. And I think we should approach our businesses differently based on our personality. Now, what do you think about the balance between spending time on building product or building, let's say for example, a JShell snapshot, spending time on building that, or spending just time on sales and marketing? What's the most important?
Yeah, I was actually chatting with someone about this the other day. I'm ultimately, the only skill, in my eyes, the skills worth pursuing is sales, which is influence and negotiating. That's it. Because everything else I'm never going to be the best at the world at.
And it can be outsourced. Right.
So I need to be able to, 1, influence myself and do the right things for myself. 2, influence others. And then kind of 3, just negotiate, because everything's a negotiation. With your friends, with your family, with your sexual interests, with your business, whatever. It's all a negotiation. Something's got to be negotiated.
That's a nice way to say dating or girls' sexual interest.
Yeah, I'm an equal opportunities kind of guy. So, whatever floats your boat, the they, thems, the he, hers, whatever. Don't care.
Yeah.
Sexual interest is hopefully a way that doesn't offend anyone. But if you're offended, stop. So, yeah, again, the influence, being able to influence yourself, the most important skill, because everything at the end of the day is a sale. Grant Cardone said it in "Sell or Be Sold." Every day you're selling, you're either being sold to or you're selling yourself. So, the snapshots and stuff like that, they're all commoditized. It's just $100, $200, $300, whatever will get you the snapshot. But I believe you need to have a level of understanding of how all these things work. And that's kind of my big edge, is I can do the go speak to the CEOs, the founders, and play that game. But I can also build a snapshot, the nerd, the best of them, and get all the automations, the tags, the workflows. I can hook the AI up. I can get the API key. I can get the domain file. I can do all these things that are foreign language to other people. So I think it's fundamentally just be very useful. And when you're useful, you get paid. And if you can solve people's problems, you get paid. That's kind of how I look at it. But yeah, in terms of if growth is your goal, and you want to grow and you want to scale, then they're kind of 2 different things. Growth is adding, scaling is getting more from what you have. I got that from Alan Sultanik, and I was like, that's a really good distinction. So growth is just adding more, scaling is getting more out of what you got.
It's non-linear.
Yeah. So, you got to be able to sell yourself. You got to be able to influence others. You got to be able to influence yourself. You got to be able to negotiate the deals and that kind of thing. So those other skills, it's have an understanding because again, it's like using AI. If you don't understand copywriting, you'll get this like sensational, game-changing AI buzzword post out with a lot of hyphens. That's how you know someone's used AI, because no one writes in hyphens. And then they post it and they wonder why it bonks, because it's just shit. So like understanding the why and like understanding, you know, the strategy, and then having others execute it. That's kind of where you get leverage. So yeah.
I have like the same kind of profile, because I can go really deep in tech, and also I spend a lot of time learning copywriting, learning sales, and now I spend most of my time in sales and marketing. But I've run into, for my agency, like I've run into like some problems with actually delivering results. But that's probably because we overpromised with our first clients, right? But yeah, and then I reverted back to spending more time in really understanding what are the limitations of what we're selling and what we're building, and also tweaking our offer to, for example, we had like some clients that are doing outbound calls that wanted to do like 500,000 calls a month. And to be able to do that, you need to have like a real infrastructure and go deep into telecommunications and phone systems and all that stuff. So obviously that wasn't what we were doing. So we ended up having a frustrated client. And so yeah, now I think more about selling something that's solving a real problem, but being sure that we can provide the value that we're promising, and spending the rest of my time just selling and marketing the product.
Yeah. I think again that's business. You know, you need one yes and like one sale, and then you figure it out. And like again, it's not to say go sell shit and not deliver it, but things do change, and like as the sales process evolves, they go, oh, actually I want this and I want this and I want this, and and that's fine. But there's also no, we can't do that. And the key to be able to saying no is having a full pipeline.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, like that's part of the game.
Yeah. It's like the same for sexual interests.
Yeah, exactly.
When you have a full pipeline, you can easily walk away.
Exactly. And that's, the toughest person to negotiate with is someone who has nothing to lose.
Yeah. Okay. These are like random questions. Yeah, but I want to talk about like the AI employee that GHL just released. Like, what's your take on that?
Haven't opened it, haven't used it.
Okay.
Can't comment. I haven't been through it. I was speaking with Rob about it. I think that it's again, I'm pretty sure it's free for the end of the year, and that's one of the things I'm going to play with next week. While I'm locked in. So yeah, I think it will be good in 3 months. Like anything GHL, it will be good in 3 months. They release something. Again, all the early adopters go run out. They tell them all the problems, and then they fix it. That's kind of my take on it. And again, it's very interesting to see how, from a product side, is how GHL can upsell on convenience. So by like hooking it in, because I'm like, it's $99 an employee, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, I didn't check like the
which
price,
is like that's what they charge for 3 sub accounts. So like the price on it, it's fascinating, because you're like, okay, you get all these things, and there's some some magic in there. Solving a specific problem allows you to command higher prices, because it's like specific to the outcome. So like the GHL or whatever for $99 or $299 or $499 or whatever it is, you get everything. But then for this AI employee that just does this one thing, it's $99. Because in your mind, in my mind, we're like, okay, we're paying for this exact thing. That's where like a lot of people go wrong with selling AI, selling SaaS even, is that they're not specific in what the outcome of their offer is, and basing it on what you get as the client.
Mm-hmm.
I will do this, we'll do this, we'll do this. No one cares. What you get is your problem solved. And
More leads,
yeah.
you know,
More
an
leads,
optimized sales
yeah.
process.
Yeah, that's it.
More patience,
Exactly.
more revenue.
More revenue, exactly. So, yeah, I haven't played with it, so it's probably something I can't really speak too much on.
Okay. And okay, how do you see like the next? Because the AI space is moving so fast. Like, how do you see the next 12 to 24 months for people that are already selling AI? You know, sometimes I think about it and I'm like, OpenAI could just also roll out like the same thing that that I'm selling right now and make it like 1,000 times cheaper.
Yeah. Again, the way I look at it is agencies always have a place in society. Consultants have always had a place in society because it's the lack of interest and understanding, and rich people pay for their problems to be solved. So when people have an abundance of money, they will pay for their problems to be solved. You look at all like big consulting companies, big marketing companies, they're just conjugates for problems to be solved. So OpenAI may do that, and that's why I'm not really betting the house on any of the platforms. It's more about understanding the workflow and the problems and where AI fits in that. But I think, next 12 to 24 months, it's going to change completely. Like, it changes every day. Like, I'm on an email called Prompts Daily, and it's just like, this has happened, this company's raised 500 million, this company's raised 200 million, this has been released. Like, it's almost anxiety inducing.
Yeah, when you keep receiving this.
Yeah, every day. So I look at, the next 12 to 24 months, everything's going to change, but that's the price that you pay for change. And the industry, there's the space is just going to be who can adopt the fastest and understand their clients' problems the best.
Yeah.
And then find the tools that solve the problems.
Yeah.
And you just be able to have, it's an information arbitrage. Because I know how to solve this problem, and you're, if I can get your Facebook ads done with AI and charge you $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month, and it costs me, I've got a employee from a low income area in the world, I pay $5 an hour or $10 an hour, but I can, again, arbitrage them out and make a lot of money. Then that's how I see the space evolving. So it's like having an understanding and knowing where it can be plugged in, and just the tools are going to be constantly changing.
Yeah.
Like there's no.
That's also how I see it. Being able to adapt, and there's also another way of seeing it. It can be an anxiety-inducing, seeing like that it's changing so fast, but it can be also exciting because there's new opportunities and new tools that are better, and the first to use the new tools get an advantage. So that's being adaptable. And I think looking at it that way, building a SaaS product, I see it as way more riskier actually, because it can be disrupted and be obsolete way faster than building a personal brand and a consultancy and being able to use different tools to solve the same problem.
That's basically my philosophy. Is I think that you'll be able to plug in a website, a SaaS, and steal the code and build your own in a matter of minutes, which is really grim. But, you Google inspect on a page now and you can pull all the code off, and the language models will be able to basically read the internet. Yeah. It's a real risk. So I don't want to play that game because there's no moat. So like SaaS used to be the moat, and in businesses you want the moat. So
what's the moat now? Personal brand.
Yeah, personal brand is the only moat.
Yeah.
And then results, like case studies and testimonials and stuff like that. That's the moat. But even those can be faked and falsified. Yeah. So having references is kind of old school as that sounds. Spoke to a guy runs a listed company in Australia, ASX listed, market cap's about 100 mil. And he was like, you want to have your reference list and say, hey, call my client, and they can tell you what
Mm-hmm.
They can tell you what we did together.
Mm-hmm.
That's the mode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then because it's third party validation and all the all the things that come along with that. Yeah, I think that's really it. Like, that's kind of how I've doubled down on what I'm like. That's my only regret is I didn't keep my personal brand going from 2013 when I was buying 10-cent leads off Facebook. That's my only regret in life. I was like, damn, I wonder what life would be like now if I just did that. Because we capitalized on 10-cent dollar leads in the local gym space, and that's how we dominated. Like, we ran Facebook ads, we got 100 names, we signed 10 to 20 clients, did that, rinse and repeat, 6 locations, and we were in. It's like when I look at it, it's like an archaic business model because you're bricks and mortar, and then your team members have to live around a 10 to 15k radius because they're getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go start a 5 o'clock class, and then you got to have people that can come to gym and that fits in with their life. And Perth is not a heavily populated city, and we made that work. So that's kind of where my belief in making all this shit work comes from. I was like, we made that work. And I was like, when you think about it, it's one of the most isolated cities in the world. Population's increasing and all that kind of stuff. But on the flip side of that was our business model was there's 100 people anywhere that want to get into better shape. That makes us $500,000 per location. 100 people at $100 a week. That's it. That was the business model. That was all the planning. That was all the strategy. We had locations in not shopping centres, in industrial parks, on main strips. We had it in a council, an old council. They owned the building. We had it in everywhere. So our locations, we weren't we have to have this. And there wasn't a whole lot of strategy there. It was more there's 100 people around that want to get into better shape, and they'll pay us $100 a week. That was it. So a very simplified model.
Yeah. So how do you translate this philosophy into building an AI agency?
I think that there's businesses out there that want their problem solved. Now you just need to go offer them something, and then just be clear on what is it that you're actually helping them with. And that's why I find solving the specific problem, the more specificity of the problem that you're solving for these businesses, the better it's oh wow, they actually understand me. Because just little words, you've been saying patients, whereas I'd say clients, those little nuances are how I believe build trust. Mm-hmm. And so I've never really done allied health, and I'm one of my clients is he's in we're kind of teaming up on the build, it's chiropractic and consultation to orientation and session or treatment so just on the health. So just getting really specific, and that's kind of why I say focus on the problem in a niche or industry that you understand. Mm-hmm. And then furthermore one that not everyone's going after. So really kind of abstract big services where the clients the ticket size is at least 10, but I try to say at least 100. If they're making $100,000 a sale, or it's $100,000 of revenue, there's going to be margin there, and then there's the ability to pay you. Whereas the gym game, obviously Hormozy did it really well, but the memberships were $200 to $400 a month, and it's just a lot of volume, and it's just a lot. It's a lot of people, but there's the scale there as well. But your acquisition costs were ours kind of floated between $100 and $200 depending on the lead cost and how we closed and the offer and all sorts of stuff. Got a full spreadsheet on it all. So coming back to building the AI agency is okay, you want to be solving something, and I think that's where it's kind of brought it up a couple of times. It's build your agency to solve a problem, and that's it's such simple advice.
I mean, it's the fundamentals.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing a lot of people are solving actually the same problem, which is acquisition and lead generation, and I remember you talked about that in another podcast. About the 3 main problems to solve, which is lead generation, qualification, and booking appointments. I think, if I remember well. And what are the other problems you think AI agencies could solve?
Yeah. So I look at it way I teach it to the guys in our agency. Basically, there's acquisition, which is everything that comes along with that. offers, lead gen, sales, appointments, all that kind of stuff. And then there's just operations. So it's just making things more efficient. So like efficiency or productivity is, productivity I look at as like output per unit of time. So if a person works 1 hour and they have 10 units of output, that's their productivity. If they can increase that by 1, they've increased productivity by 10%. So like I see, and then is it like, again, depending on the business, but like AI and automation really fits in that kind of operational efficiency. So that's like, you need to have a very good understanding of like where time's being spent. So one of my clients now, they've built something that scans documents for real estate agents. So the lease documents and stuff like that, and it can pick it up and do, like, it's just in the beta phase. And he's worked with a guy to develop that. But like, it's just a specific problem, and the company that he's like installing it into, they were going to pay someone $80,000 a year to scan the documents. So, train of thought, but basically the growth or operations, like that's that's basically it. And then, you know, if you can go in and say to a real estate company, hey, we'll save you $200,000-$400,000 a year of admin. It's $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 for the year. It's a great trade-off, because now, like, you know, they've just added, you know, 90% back into their profitability. So that's where I really see like AI coming in. Is like, okay, because you know, there's so many industries where there's still just so like antedated in their process, and like if you can add the automation there, it's game changing. It's like, is that AI? Is it automation? It kind of blends that gap of the process. And at the end of the day, like, if you can just clap your hands and it gets the thing done, no one gives a fuck.
Exactly.
Like,
they don't care if it's just on the results.
They just like, and that's that's what my kind of not concern, but I'm like, you know, you lead with, oh, like, we're an AI agency, but like, oh, people don't even know how AI is going to work in their business, so it's a different, like, you know, you're challenging their preconceived ideas, and it's just like why so many people get this when they try to have sales, or like when they try to reach out to people, or they run their ads. Whereas if you come, again, the positioning and how you actually angle what it is that you do, there's a lot to be said about understanding just communication.
Like leading with the transformation of the result rather than leading with we are an AI agency.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
So if the listeners want to learn more about you, what you do, or
so jackzuvlek.com. I send a daily, again, somewhat offensive, somewhat funny. It'll either get you offended or make you money. And then Instagram is where I'm at the moment, and then YouTube for kind of longer form stuff like this. But it's been a pleasure. It's been a great chat. Thank you.
Pleasure shared.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Ciao.